Sabbath. My life is spent in one long effort to escape from the commonplaces of existence. It's a capital mistake to theorize before one has data. Insensibly, one begins to twist facts to suit theories instead of theories to suit facts. So we're going to look at the data, analyze the facts, and come to a logical conclusion at the end. After we eliminate all the other factors, the one which remains must be the truth. The game is afoot, so let's begin. But where do we begin? Isn't it obvious? We begin at the beginning. As we open the Bible, we find that the Sabbath is woven into creation. Thus the heavens and the earth and all the host of them were finished. And on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done. Then God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it he rested from all his work which God had created and made. God sanctified the Sabbath as a foundational act in creation. So I did an exhaustive study of the Bible. I was looking for anything that might explain the change in the Sabbath from the seventh day to the first day of the week. I found lots of data. There are over 100 verses in the Bible that speak about the Sabbath, and I examined every single one of them. See, for the Lord has given you the Sabbath. And he said to them, the Sabbath was made for man, and not man for the Sabbath. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it, and they rested on the Sabbath according to the commandment. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. So ought not this woman, being a daughter of Abraham, be loosed from this bond on the Sabbath? Therefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations, as a perpetual covenant. The Gentiles begged that these words might be preached to them the next Sabbath, and from one Sabbath to another. All flesh shall come to worship before me, says the Lord. And he reasoned in the synagogue every Sabbath, and persuaded both Jews and Greeks. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. For the Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath. There's nothing more deceptive than an obvious fact. And the obvious fact is, there is no record of the Sabbath ever being changed in the Bible. Yeshua kept the Sabbath. His disciples kept the Sabbath. Even Gentile converts kept the Sabbath. Yeshua even calls himself the Lord of the Sabbath, indicating that he owns it. While it's true that the early church met in homes daily, that doesn't negate the fact that they continued to keep the Sabbath. There's also even a mention of Paul preaching on the first day of the week. But the text explains it's because he has to leave on a trip the next day, indicating that it was for a special circumstance. Also, this event seems to be taking place on Saturday night leading up to midnight, not Sunday morning. Now on the first day of the week, when the disciples came together to break bread, Paul, ready to depart the next day, spoke to them and continued his message until midnight. We also have record of Paul teaching Gentiles in Corinth for a year and a half. There are 52 Sabbaths in a year, plus half a year, which is 26 more Sabbaths, which equals 78 Sabbaths, just in Corinth alone. The world is full of obvious things which nobody by any chance ever observes. And the second fact I learned is that the Sabbath is always on the seventh day of the week. This may seem obvious, but there are people who seem to think that Sabbath can be any day they choose. This is a terrible mistake on their part, because they're making exceptions. Never make exceptions. An exception disproves the rule. And the rule is, the Sabbath is always and only on the seventh day of the week. The third fact I ascertained in my study is that the Sabbath is an everlasting sign between God and his people. Never trust to general impressions, my boy, but concentrate yourself upon the details. What is out of the common is usually a guide rather than a hindrance. Another fact I discovered is that the Bible spoke about apostasy that would come in the church. The Spirit clearly says that in latter times some will abandon the faith and follow deceiving spirits and things taught by demons, and they will turn their ears away from the truth and be turned aside to fables. But there were also false prophets among the people, even as there will be false teachers among you, who will secretly bring in destructive heresies. You therefore, beloved, since you know this beforehand, beware, lest you also fall from your own steadfastness, being led away with the error of the wicked. He who says, I know him, and does not keep his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. As I previously stated, what is out of the common is usually a guide rather than a hindrance. And I believe this warning about false teachers and apostasy is a guide to unveiling the truth in this matter. I had to get to the bottom of this mystery. I searched the Bible from cover to cover and found nothing about any change in the Sabbath. So my search took me outside the Bible. I began looking into church history, and it didn't take me long to find what I was looking for. And I have something very interesting to show you. Come at once if convenient. If inconvenient, come all the same. Every story needs a good old-fashioned villain, and Constantine is ours. Constantine was the Roman emperor from 306 to 337 AD. Constantine ended Christian persecution with the Edict of Milan in 313 AD. But on March 7th, 321, Constantine decreed Sunday to be the Roman day of rest, saying, "On the venerable day of the sun, let the magistrates and people residing in cities rest, and let all workshops be closed." So the fifth fact to consider is that Constantine ordered Sunday observance in the Roman Empire. Now the next fact I found is actually an admission of guilt on their part. You see, the Catholic Church claims they changed the Sabbath to Sunday by their own authority at the Council of Laodicea in the 4th century. I found it in the Convert's Catechism of Catholic Doctrine, which says, "Which is the Sabbath day? Saturday is the Sabbath day. Why do we observe Sunday instead of Saturday? We observe Sunday instead of Saturday because the Catholic Church in the Council of Laodicea transferred the solemnity from Saturday to Sunday." So what was actually said in the Council of Laodicea? Christians must not Judaize by resting on the Sabbath, but must work on that day, rather honoring the Lord's day, and if they can, resting then as Christians. But if any shall be found to be Judaizers, let them be anathema from Christ. There's an obvious clue here that many people overlook. Christians were still keeping the Sabbath in the 4th century. Otherwise, why would the Catholic Church need to forbid it? The Catholic Catechism explains why Catholics keep Sunday. But why do Christians keep Sunday? Ultimately, it comes down to tradition. The Catholic Church kept Sunday for so long that when the Protestant reformers finally broke away from the Catholic Church, they retained many of the deeply embedded traditions, such as Sunday worship. Now, the obvious question we need to ask is, who has the authority to change one of God's commandments? You have a grand gift for silence. It makes you quite invaluable as a companion. Let me put it to you bluntly. No one has the authority to change any of God's commandments. You shall not add to the word which I command you, nor take away from it, that you may keep the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you. Having gathered all these facts, I analyzed the data to separate those which were crucial from others which were merely incidental. And I've come to the only logical conclusion possible. But first, let's review the facts. Fact number 1, the Sabbath was never changed in the Bible. Fact number 2, the Sabbath is always on the 7th day of the week. Fact number 3, the Sabbath is an eternal sign between God and his people. Fact number 4, the Bible spoke about apostasy that would come in the church. Fact number 5, Constantine ordered Sunday observance. Fact number 6, the Catholic Church claims they changed the Sabbath. And fact number 7, no one has the authority to change God's commandments. So what's the conclusion? It's elementary, my dear. Just think about it. When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. And the truth is, no one changed the Sabbath. The Sabbath will always be the 7th day of the week, and it will always remain a sign between God and his people. The Sabbath didn't change. It's the people who changed. Certain men decided they didn't want to keep God's commandments anymore, so they stopped. And they convinced others to join them in their apostasy. The Bible warned us about these false teachers who would creep in and corrupt the faith. But today, most Christians keep Sunday in ignorance, unaware of these crucial facts that we have uncovered. But it's better to learn wisdom late than never to learn it at all. There's nothing more to be said or done tonight, so hand me my violin, and let's try to forget for half an hour the miserable weather and the still more miserable ways of our fellow men. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, then you might like some of my other videos as well. And remember, the truth will set you free. We'll see you next time.